Let's do it. Preparing the live stream. I just finished one. I had to take a 5-minute break. So you're not getting much rain down there, no?
We did for about 2 hours, but
Yeah.
they're saying it's going to hit again just any minute now.
Oh, probably going to get the other side of it or something.
So
Okay.
they got it pretty
Here we
hard
go.
down in Miami.
Okay, we are back. All right, let me just say hello, everyone. We are back. Okay, very good. I just need to prepare this here. Oh, it's already muted. Okay, good. So all the live stream viewers, are going to come back. I announced this, in the first part. So hello, everybody. Welcome back to the GoldFish Report. If you missed our first hour, we are broadcasting. We are simulcasting on Ascension Radio. And we are live streaming on YouTube tonight. Tonight is, this is our GoldFish Report number 539. Sorry, I got to change the paper. I just finished one. This is Saturday, August 1st, 2020, folks. Happy August. Today, joining us, and I'm excited about this, is our returning guest that we had on earlier this week on the GoldFish Report. Her name is Reba Sherrill. She's a candidate for the 21st Congressional District in the House of Representatives in Florida, which is the Palm Beach County area. And we have a lot to talk about in terms of her election and why I think she is the best candidate for the job. So I'm so excited to welcome back Reba. Reba, thank you so much for coming back to the GoldFish Report. It is a pleasure. And you are the first candidate ever of an election who I've ever interviewed on the GoldFish Report. So welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. We are expecting a hurricane to hit just any minute now.
Yeah, that's why I was.
So hopefully I'll be able to stay connected.
Yeah, and if we do drop out, I also will then be able to share the link from our interview earlier this week on Ascension Radio, so our viewers can listen to your platform. And you know what I was so impressed, honestly, folks. I was so impressed. Hi again, everybody. Thanks for coming back to this is our live chat viewers who are here. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday night, folks. I was very excited to have you come back because you know what? You really impressed me because every question I gave you were, it's because your Constitution, you are so sure of who you are, and it's easy to address these questions because you know where you stand on them, and you have thoroughly analyzed these issues and have formed your opinion. But the one thing that I didn't ask earlier in the week that I'm going to start out right away asking you is, well, this is a big issue. This is our presidential election, and the talk is all about mail-in ballots. And so the question that I have for you is, do you think that we could ever have a valid election with an all mail-in ballot? And what is your opinion on that?
No way. We can't have a safe election with mail-in ballots because, number one, they don't get out all the ballots when you even request one. Like back in March, my daughter was going to be out of town working during the presidential primary. She requested a mail-in ballot. It never arrived. And so we don't know if someone else intercepted that ballot and actually voted under her name or if they just never sent it. But mail-in ballots, so bad. Like I brought home a registration for a voter in my district a couple weeks ago, and while I had that registration sheet in my hands, I read it because I hadn't read one in a while, and it was saying that if you're 65 or older, you don't need a driver's license, you don't need a Florida ID, you don't need a social security card. So anybody could fill out a voter registration in the state of Florida to register to vote and just say they are older than 65 and they can get a voter registration. And of course, the signature would match if that same person that filled it out goes to a precinct to vote because the real person doesn't exist or impersonating someone, stealing
Sure.
someone's identity, so that it's ripe for fraud. And of course, we know, we've all seen the reports where there was a mail truck full of these ballots that got sent to a whole nother state somewhere. They never even arrived to be counted in one of the primaries recently, a few weeks ago. And last election 2 years ago, here in Palm Beach County, which is famous for the hanging chads, and we had boxes and boxes of these ballots show up
Right.
that were for Democrats. And so I wouldn't be surprised, and I think that once they get through with all these investigations, that the voter fraud has been going on for decades, and Democrats really haven't been elected for the last 40 plus years. I really wouldn't be surprised by that, because they have perfected this art of stealing elections, especially here in South Florida.
Well, we all remember the hanging Chad, don't we? Whoa, talk about lifting that election. We've seen pictures of U.S. postal workers taking boxes and dumping them in the garbage.
No way.
I
No.
mean, there's no way we can ever know that your vote's being counted ever.
And there's something else, Louisa, that
Sure.
actually is specific to my race in Palm Beach County, District 21. Earlier in July, at the local REC meeting, which happens once a month, the chair of the REC, his name is Michael Barnett. He actually stood up in front of everyone and he was telling everyone to vote by mail. And we all know that President Trump has said this is how they steal elections. So we have so-called Republicans in Palm Beach County, and I'm sure across the country it exists as well, that are actually using Democrat tactics. Actually, it's more deep state tactics, the cabal tactics, and they are creating these fraudulent situations and manipulating the elections. And one of the candidates who is running against me, she stood up at the end of the meeting and tried to intimidate everyone present and told them, you won't be able to go to the poll on August the 18th and vote in person in the primary. So vote by mail. And I said on the spot, and there were several people that came up to me and they said, did you hear what she said? Her name is Laura Loomer. And the only reason why anyone would be pushing to have vote by mail is because they intend to cheat.
Well, I have to tell you, I received a ballot in the mail for a primary election here in the state I live in, and it was well, I only received half of it because it was torn in half. Half did not make it. So I wasn't able, because I was a Republican voter, I wasn't able to vote because it was a mail-in ballot. We had a completely mail-in election, primary election. So you're not even able to. And you saw in California that they don't even put the Republican candidates on the ballot. And people who aren't that literate with English language, they don't know any better. There's a lot of immigrants who migrate here. They're still learning the language. But that was deliberate. That was intentional. That was purposeful. So you're absolutely right. Yes, Slim, absolutely. So I'm looking at some of the comments from the viewers, and you're right. You're right, Slim. This is all we need to know. We shall know them by their fruits. If you, right, Reba, when you're standing in that election box, well, you know what? We're not going to get there if they're going to just do all mail-in ballots. Right now, is this how it's set up for Florida for your congressional election there? It's going to be all mail-in ballots?
Well, no, we can go and vote in person, but the problem is these people
For your congressional
election. These people are encouraging, like the people in the REC, they're encouraging people to vote by mail, and they sent out those ballots 2 weeks ago, and now we have early voting that starts on Monday. We have early voting for 2 weeks, 7 days a week for 2 weeks. And then the day before the election on Monday, the 17th, everything is closed down, preparing all the precincts on that Monday. and then Tuesday is primary day. So I have had a very exciting week here. Wednesday, we had someone come who's a constitutional attorney, and she held a class in Boynton Beach, and a lot of women came from all over Florida. It was really fantastic, and she was giving us tips on how to stand up for our rights and stand up for our Constitution. So that was really exciting. Her name is Chris Ann Hall, and with Liberty. That's the name of where she does her teaching. She has CDs. She has books that she's written. She's really did a fantastic, really dynamic speaker. She did a fantastic job, and I've invited her to come on the 14th through the 17th. I'm holding 3 days call to prayer, and people can join in from literally all over the country. We're going to be live streaming at least in the evenings, maybe at other hours as well, where people can join us in this time of prayer. So that will start on Friday evening, the weekend before the election, and it'll go until the eve of the election on that Monday night. So I'm really excited about this. I've held 2 previous events, one in December in DC and one in Manhattan in May. This one will be right here in my home in Palm Beach. So if you're a prayer warrior and you're interested in coming to Palm Beach for these 3 days of prayer in person, email me, and we'll have a conversation and make some arrangements. But you can join us from right wherever you live online, and we'll be live streaming. I've got to have someone help me figure out how to do that on YouTube as well as Facebook, so we can do it at the same time.
Yeah. Now, your email is reba@rebaforcongress.com, or is there another one? Okay. And so also, so if you're looking for volunteers to help with putting out signs and things like that,
Yeah.
please email Reba as well at that same email address. So anyone who wants to volunteer in that 21st district, you can. In Florida, you can contact Reba, and she's certainly willing to take any volunteers, and all volunteers, I should say, at this time for her campaign. Let's get into some more issues, though. Let me screen share first before we do that. Let's screen share your website. So here's your website, and you're with a really special person there in this picture. And of course, this is in West Palm Beach County, rather, where of course President Trump has his Mar-a-Lago. Is that correct?
Yes, this is actually in the town of Palm Beach.
Okay, Palm
This
Beach.
is in his backyard. This picture was taken there.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. It would be really great to. So it's really it's an endorsement, really, and it's wonderful to have that photo. So if you're, I hope that all the patriots out there who are listening and who will listen and see this after tonight's broadcast, that that you. Look at the issues that she has here. She's a strong patriot, a strong constitutionalist, and she definitely has, follows very much along the line of also the president's position on some of these issues. Not all of them, but a lot of them, because I think, Reba, you have your own ideas about some of these as well. So we also talked about campaign financing. Did you have comments you wanted to make about campaign financing?
Well, we waste billions of dollars every 2 years on these elections. And I think it fosters an attitude in these so-called public servants going to DC to be careless with our tax dollars. And so I would like to suggest that we put a cap on what can be raised and spent on these elections. And the figure that I'm going to suggest is for a local race, such as a committee person or a commissioner for a county, $10,000. If you're running for Congress, as I am, $100,000. Like the incumbent, she's raised over $1 million, and they just waste so much money. When I first started this race, Louisa, they said I would need 3 or 4 million to win this race. I'm going to prove them wrong. And
Yeah.
so far, I've spent 50,000 and just over 50,000, and I'm going to try to keep it under that 100,000 mark as I'm suggesting, because I want to prove that it is possible.
Yeah. I think social media is your strongest area to focus on, and I think that you have plans to do that. Let me also screen share your excuse me, your Facebook page. Hold on, just a little bit slow on the finger here, my trigger finger. Here you have your Facebook page as well. And of course, I screen shared this in my POTUS report. This lovely, wonderful, brave doctor who is out there at her, taking risk like a lot of us. I mean, there's a lot of us who are warriors out there because we know that this is the silent second American Revolution that we're going through
Yeah.
right now. That we are up against a Marxist power grab right now, and we need to have patriots who have American values, who have values for and policy on immigration, which I'm going to talk to you about because Florida's big when it comes to immigration, as big as Texas, because you have a lot of
Yeah.
other, So let me just go through your page here, and of course, this is our promo for tonight's page. But we also have another page for you, which is your Twitter page here as well. So she's got a Twitter, she's on Facebook, she's got
And
uh,
Instagram.
and Instagram. Okay, well, I don't have that. I'm not going to screen share that one, but I don't have it pulled up. But I should have those links though to put in the description section of this video so everybody can find you, so we can get all this posted. Everybody can post for you. So and you live in Palm Beach. Obviously, you have to live there to be a representative, right?
Yes.
It's
Well,
beautiful.
actually, to be a Congress person
Uh-huh.
from the state of Florida, you
Okay.
only have to live in the state. You
State
can
of
live
Florida.
anywhere. Like
Wait,
Matt
let's see.
Gaetz, he represents District Number 1, which is in the Panhandle, but I hear he lives in Hollywood, which is in the
Mm,
South. So,
mm,
you don't have to live in the district. You just have to live in the state of Florida. But I do live in the district, and I
Good.
think 5 of us live here, but there's rumors that a particular candidate never really moved here from New York when she started running.
Uh-oh.
So there seems to be a possible problem there that she is not a legal candidate.
Is that the well, never mind. I'm not going to say. We're going to get into it right now at this moment anyway. Okay, let me just pull up a photo here as well. Well, I wanted to ask you some more questions about your issues. We know that you're a conservative mom who respects life, a global businesswoman, educator, author, entrepreneur, warrior, and patriot. You are a wellness professional, and you feel that the government has been run by tyrants for decades. They have created a two-tier justice system, and this is what you want to right the ship and restore justice and foster restoration, according to Candidate Connection, uh, uh, ballotpedia.org. Your three key messages for your campaign are: voice for the voiceless, restore your wealth, opportunity, and wellness, and defeat tyranny. And your areas of public policy that you're personally compassionate about are fighting fraud and corruption, restructuring healthcare, focusing on wellness, eliminating human and drug trafficking. And we're going to ask you about each one of these in a minute.
Okay.
America First, making chemical toxins illegal and restoring the land with organic agriculture. That's huge. That's huge. That's a very
People
important
have
issue.
no idea how big a difference that can make in
Right.
our country.
And veterans, legal immigration based on merit. Well, there's your position on that. Completing the border wall, support our military, and Leos. What are Leos?
Law enforcement officers.
Sorry, I haven't seen that yet. Okay. You just taught me something tonight, Leo. Okay, that's great. Homeless infrastructure, providing secure elections, education reform, strong defense, fostering a healthy immune system, and First and Second Amendments. And I know that you have some other issues too that are also very near and dear to you, and it has to do with the issue of custody, custodial rights, and things like that.
Yes.
Why don't we go ahead and start with that issue? Can you explain to us exactly where you stand on that, and what kind of legislation would you sponsor or to help fix this? We know that the First Lady, and I just reported this in the POTUS report, is very strong advocate for children. She's involved in making sure every family has every foster child has a forever family, and she's working with the adoption agencies and with foster care. It has historically been a disaster. I mean, we know that. Look, this is not an this is wrought with problems. We know that Senator Nancy Schaefer was actually trying to expose some problems with CPS, where these children were being, literally shopped and trafficked using
Yes, it's
CPS,
still
and then
happening.
then they murdered her. So let's find out. We have big problems. We have to stop the child trafficking. We have to stop all of this nonsense with this child abuse. It's crazy, crazy. Let's ask you, in terms of the guardianship issue, can you explain to us what the issue is and what you plan to do about that? Because children are our future.
It's really outrageous that when people have harmed children, like has been occurring, like when children are abused, they're killed because of various things that these foster parents might do, or even a birth parent might do. They really don't get their just rewards. We have to start having really tough um, punishment for people that harm a child. They need to be executed. No ifs, ands, or buts. They just need to die, because when these people are damaging a child for the rest of their lives,
Mm,
they need to understand that that will not be tolerated. And if we eliminate these people who are, sexually exploiting these children, raping, murdering them,
mhm,
then we'll have a chance in our society to actually move forward and be more prosperous nation in every way, with our health, with our wealth, more opportunities for people to develop their creativity and start a business. Everyone should be encouraged to develop their skills and talents. And we really don't have a society that's structured that way today. And so one thing that I did over 30 years ago, I helped start an organization in Tennessee where I lived prior to moving to Florida. And it's called CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate.
mm,
And what we had was adults who would volunteer their time, volunteer to be trained, and we would match an adult in our community with a child that's placed in foster care. And we would ensure, by making home visits, by attending court hearings, we would communicate with the judge what we found, because the judge can't go into all these homes and evaluate what's really happening. So we would have volunteers who would do that and make recommendations to the judge what is best for that individual child or that family of children. And so, one
mm,
of the things I want to do is expand that program across the nation so that we have concerned third parties who are trained to help monitor what is happening with these children. The other part of our population, which really needs to be monitored, are people that are getting snatched up by the probate court in these abusive guardianships, and they're made wards of the state. It's the biggest business in the country. They have trillions of dollars that pass through these poor probate courts. They seize individuals' total assets, their homes, their cars, their personal effects,
mhm,
artwork, whatever. They
mhm.
liquidate it and the money just disappears. It vanishes. And they're not using it to care for the individual. They're using it for their own pockets to get rich. How do you think all these politicians get into office and they don't go in there as millionaires, but they sure leave as multi millionaires?
Yep.
They are stealing our wealth, and we need to restore it to the people. This government is to be of the people, by the people, for the people. And that's my main push, is to make sure that that is restored. We need revival, we need restoration, and we must have a revolution, and it's beginning.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. And I also wanted to make, actually bring up another point, another issue, something about you. Uh, and I was just reporting on the POTUS report how the president was meeting with Let me see here. I'm going to screen share this. We just shared this. This is the president meeting with Governor Greg Abbott as the president disembarked Air Force One at Midland International Airport. And let me just say that for a lot of people who didn't know, Governor Abbott is in a wheelchair, permanently in a wheelchair, and he is an incredible, governor and doing a great job, and certainly very competent and professional. And I wanted to screen share that because we wanted to, also, I think people saw the picture from your website that you are also in a wheelchair. And, so you are very sensitive to these issues, especially the Americans with Disabilities Act and so forth. And that it's wonderful, so wonderful to see so many people, so many Americans with disabilities playing such a role in, not just in government, but in all businesses, because of course there's access now for Americans with disabilities to patronize places that they couldn't access in the past. But also in the level of leadership, we're seeing more and more and more of wonderful people who have not only despite their disability, but perhaps in spite of it, go on and become incredible leaders, especially like uh, just aside from FDR being a former president, being in a wheelchair as well, that this is not in any way, in any event,
Doesn't
it's
hold me back. But
yeah.
but I'm going to tell you something, Louisa. Our society has become a throwaway, disposable society. People have all this fast food. They have these disposable plates and forks and spoons. We like throw things away like all the time. Just throw it away. This is totally different than how it was 100 years ago. People were more careful with their waste and how much waste they produced, and people that just didn't create this waste. But our attitude needs to change because every person, no matter what their age, they have value, and we need to respect each individual. We need to encourage them to have success in life, whatever that looks like for them. I have a dear friend. She'll be coming to my house on Monday, and she lives south of me here. She has several children. They're all boys. One of them is a newborn, just born a few weeks ago. She has one hand,
Hmm.
and she handles these boys, and she has her own business. She actually bakes bread, special breads. Like she has an avocado bread. It's all organic, and it uses no grain. She has avocado bread, she has
Ooh.
zucchini bread, and banana bread. And I love supporting her business.
What's the name of her business?
um
Do you know? Give her a plug while we're at
I do
it.
know. It's something Joy. Hold on, I'll find it.
Sure.
But she normally has a booth set up on the weekends at the
Hmm.
Yellow Green Market down in Hollywood, Florida, which is south of Fort Lauderdale. But they have been closed because of COVID.
Oh no.
Yes, and so she hasn't been able to do her business. So I've been keeping in touch with her, and I have since day one when I first met her. I got her phone number, and I communicate with her by text or by phone.
Hmm.
And she contacted me a few days ago, and she said, "Would you like some breads?" And of course, I jumped on that opportunity. So
Hmm.
she's going to bake me some breads on Monday, and she'll be delivering them to me. She normally doesn't deliver, but they're not open at the market right now.
Hmm.
So it's called My Joy Organics. My Joy Organics. And she does have a website. Um, but she is a delightful lady.
Do you know what that website is?
Hold on, I'm gonna try.
You didn't know we were going to be plugging for her. It's
No, I
okay.
did,
I
but
put you on the spot. Sorry.
when you mentioned, this thing about people with disabilities,
Yep.
I don't look at me being in a wheelchair as a handicap.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have protections, and I'm thankful for them.
Right.
But I look at it as an opportunity. I see my wheelchair as my legs. They're filling a void in my life.
Sure.
My legs are not functional at this point. And so it gets me out of bed, out of the house every day, and I live my life to the full. And I'm actually happier now, Louisa, than ever before in my
Yeah.
life.
I tell you, you are a force to be reckoned with because of your mind, my dear. And it has nothing to do with whether your legs, whether you're in a chair or standing. You are a force to be reckoned with. And that's what I love about you the most. And
Our website is myjoyorganics.com.
okay, myjoyorganics.com because, I'm
Yes.
Italian, I love bread, and I'm going to be going there. Hopefully she can mail it. She can ship it to people.
Yeah,
Everybody will have some
possibly.
delicious bread. I mean, why not, right? So
She's
let's,
such a delightful lady, and
yeah.
I'm happy that you were interested in. Oh, it's saying her site is not available right now.
Okay. Well, you know what we'll do is you when we're done you can get in contact with her and find out how people can reach her delicious bread because bread is like one of my it's really my downfall. You were talking about fasting before. I'm just like, well, if there's bread in the house, forget it. If there's like really good crispy Italian bread, that's just my weakness.
Well, I've already
But I love it. I love
discussing with my daughter tonight because I'm going to get 3 loaves of this bread on
ooh,
Monday,
ooh, good,
and the
good.
next week my kids are going to be here, and she's already said, "Mom, you need to order more bread for
Oh,
the next
uh,
week." So I will be doing that.
yeah. So our moderator, James Borg from Euphoria Chronicles, is in the house doing moderation for me. Thank you so much, James. And he's typed that into the live chat for everybody. So everybody, a little plug for this lovely lady who is making some probably very, very delicious breads because, you need to spice it up a little bit. But let's not talk about bread. Let's get back to the issues.
Well,
But it's wonderful that it's, the people with disabilities that are building their own businesses. And we're talking about veterans too. How many veterans do we have that have prosthetics and have, all kinds of other disabilities, but so they just don't let it stop them. I mean, that's really the whole thing. That's the whole thing is that so many become so productive. Go ahead.
there's something that I want to raise people's awareness about, and they may already know because you have a really brilliant audience. But in Greece, they just made it legal to be a pedophile. Okay, they deemed it a disability, and so they are offering protection. And Tom Hanks and his wife just recently immigrated
Yeah.
to Greece.
Right.
So
Interesting.
they are making a push in this country to make pedophilia a sexual preference and make it legal, just like homosexuality,
Right.
um, just like transgender,
Yeah.
that they have these protections. They are making a push to give the same protections to pedophiles, and we cannot let that happen.
No, no, and not only that, they're shoving it in the kids' faces and in these in
Everything.
this terrible public school education. I'm not sure what on earth Betsy DeVos is doing. She's been there 3.5 years, and we're still having this liberal, demoralization. It's identity politics. That's what it is, and it's the Trojan horse that is dividing this country. Let's go on to some other topics here. We've got so many. Now, the federal issues that concern you the most. I mean, you're obviously going to have very unique issues to just your particular local region, but when you're a congressperson, you are representing the whole country, and on especially when you're on the committees or subcommittees. So. Let's talk about some of these issues in a little bit more detail. You wanted to talk about the human drug trafficking, human and drug trafficking. It's a big issue in Florida. Let's hear what you have to say about this because it's you're a continental boundary, a state close to Haiti, close to places where there has been immigration. You're also uh, you have I mean there's been a lot of reports lately about a lot of child trafficking going on and human trafficking going on in Florida as well. So what would you do about that?
Yeah. Before I address that, I want to tell Alex Davidson. Hi, Alex. It's gluten free because there's no grain in the bread, so no
Oh,
worries.
oh, great. You can see the live chat.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I
Good,
just
good,
looked at it. So,
good, good.
we have a big problem here with drugs and human trafficking, uh, the child sex trade. They're stealing children and actually smuggling them out of our country, even. Sometimes they disappear underground. But we have a lot of legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. And I've had several times over the years where someone has come to me wanting me to employ them, and they're not legal. And I tell them, I'm sorry, I cannot employ someone that is an illegal immigrant into our country. You don't respect our laws.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of the things I do when I interview someone, I ask for a copy of their photo ID. And when they can't produce a driver's license, but they're driving a car,
Right.
like, whoa, not good. So we have a lot of those kind of issues here in South Florida, but we have to remedy the situation. And the way to do it is, like I said, with severe punishment. I was robbed actually a couple years ago by one of my therapists, his first day on the job.
Mm.
And you would think because someone robs someone in a wheelchair that would be considered a more heinous crime. But no, you know how long he spent in jail? One night.
Ugh.
And then all they gave him was probation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping for at least 200 hours community service, but the judge wouldn't do that. Like the DA, he doesn't put the teeth into these people and hold them accountable. Our law, as far as like what they're allowed to punish them, there's like a point system in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, this system is broken. When you have, if I had been over 65, they would have given him more punishment. But because I'm younger than that, even though I'm in a wheelchair, they treated me, it was as though somebody 20 years old that's able-bodied was robbed,
Mm-hmm.
which I think that that's really bad because
Yeah.
I put my trust into this man. He was supposed to do therapy for me.
Oh yeah. No, that's exploitation. Yeah.
So we have to fix our judicial system. We have to give more strong punishment to these individuals. And one thing that I find across our nation and around the world that has not been addressed, like on Twitter, for instance, there's a lot of pornography, pedophile pornography that is taking place. I sometimes have it, it'll just suddenly pop on my screen and I don't want to see that. But yet Twitter won't take that down, but they target people like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're speaking about things, for instance, and Messenger, oh my God, this happened to me this week repeatedly, where I tried to send a private message through Messenger. And I was simply trying to send a link to my website, wethepeoplestandunited.org. And on that website, I'm promoting the 3-day call to prayer. And they refused to let me send that out. And I got a little error message from Messenger every time I tried to send it. And they were telling me that this was in violation of their rules.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's. I wanted to. You also have the First Amendment is a very big issue for you. Second Amendment, as it says here on your issues. So let me screen share something that happened this week, and then I wanted to get your opinion about this. I actually just screen shared this for the POTUS report that we just did, but let's just watch it again because we just enjoy watching when Jim Jordan shows. Hold on a second. Where did it go? Jim Jordan's really an interesting fellow, and he's activated, should we say, and he really knows how to put people in their place. But he does it well. In other words, he allows people to expose themselves. Let's put it to you that way. Okay, so let's take a look at what happened this week, and then I want your opinion because he raises a very critical issue. Let's listen.
Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone.
Yeah.
I'm just asking that number of people, does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to.
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You,
No.
you make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything
No.
you can imagine. I'm just asking you just said that protests increase the spread.
No.
I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you.
Government
that,
stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, I mean, for 60.
Okay, so this is loaded, isn't it? And the funny thing about this is that, yes, he did choose one group over another because he refused to answer the question about the protests, but yet he made the recommendations regarding other activities. But this definitely is a First Amendment issue. Can you see a time where the Constitution should allow the restriction of one constitutional protection over another?
I tell you, Jim Jordan, he's a hard hitter. He and I have a lot in common, and we met together earlier this year right here in Palm Beach. He invited me to come to DC and have a private meeting with him there, and then COVID started. He's been a little busy, but we need to support Jim Jordan. He's a terrific man. He is fighting for our constitutional rights. And they're hitting him pretty hard. The Democrats are hitting him hard in his home state.
Yeah, and Tony the Rat Fauci, we got exactly what we expected from him. Was his double talk, when people want to evade a question, the first thing they do is repeat it. He repeated the question because he's trying to buy time and think of a response. And and I also screen shared some video of earlier this week where we had doctors on the steps of Capitol Hill talking about how there's a cure for COVID-19, which is hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin. And then Dr. Judy Mikovits talking about how they want everyone to be infected. They want to suppress the treatments and cures until everyone's infected, and then they'll, start to, release vaccines and things like that. This is out of control. How do you see us getting from the First Amendment issue over to COVID? I know we're jumping a little bit, but you are completely capable of handling this. Regarding this issue, what would you would you make COVID? I'm sorry. Would you make hydroxychloroquine available over the counter? Would you be
Absolutely.
in favor to support that?
It was during the Clinton administration that it actually was taken out of our hands. It used to be available over the counter as a supplement. Quinine. People used it for restless leg syndrome. They would have jumpy legs when they would sleep at night. And of course, we know it's prescribed for many different things like lupus and malaria. And it needs to be made available. It's very safe. And what they're doing, they're lying through their teeth. I mean, back during the Obama administration, when they were faced with a health crisis, he supported the use of hydroxychloroquine. But now, because it is President Trump, they're trying to make out like that it's an unsafe and unproven drug, which is all lies. Right. And we need to get politicians out of the healthcare business.
Exactly. What's his name? Bill Gates doing, pushing. Oh, I got to show you this too. This is very disturbing.
Mask ever. I've never seen Gates with a mask on.
Interesting, because he's probably taking hydroxychloroquine. Well, this is one of the things the doctors, one of this doctor said was, give us a blood test, give us a
Yeah.
urine test, and prove you're not taking hydroxychloroquine, which was very good point. She says, no, there's no way they're not taking it. But there's another clip that I wanted to show you. Of Bill Gates actually explaining, it's really quite sickening. Bill Gates actually explaining what this vaccine that he's planning on manufacturing would actually do to us. And it's really disturbing. And I have to say,
Altering the RNA is terrible.
exactly. What on earth is that all about? So let me just see if I can pull that up. Here it is, folks. And then I want your opinion about why would we be letting these people have any kind of influence in our society. Listen to this, folks. In case you haven't heard, they want to chip you and change your DNA. Listen to this.
One final way that's new and is promising is called the RNA vaccine. With RNA and DNA, instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape. You put instructions in the code to make that shape.
Everything that I'm about to mention is currently being developed by Bill Gates, often in partnership with the CV19 Playbook, MIT, all of which is backed by the United Nations and the Rockefeller Foundation. Due to ongoing mutations with CV19, the CV vaccine currently being developed will alter our DNA through an actual synthesizing of our individual genetic code using mRNA and CRISPR technology, which acts as scissors by cutting DNA at a designated spot and removing or inserting a new sequence with an artificial code to make sure every man, woman, and child complies with the One World Order's mandatory implementations. Gates and MIT are currently developing the Human Implantable Quantum Dot Microneedle Vaccination Delivery System. It's a tattoo for the hand, which will include our identification mark and vaccination records. It needs an enzyme called luciferase in order to make it work. The transhumanist agent on every person's hand will glow with the bioluminescence of the light bearer, a chip you cannot remove with a knife. This tracking system will alter your DNA, and it's permanent.
Okay, I mean, right there, luciferase, right? And a light bearer. Well, we know that Lucifer is known as the light bearer, right? So, I mean, this is such a play out of this satanic Luciferian agenda. And a lot of people don't really realize how powerful these Luciferians have become in our world and how they actually are behind all of the world, many of the world leaders, not all of them, but many of the world leaders. And that's what's driving this 666 mark of the beast, which talks about in the Bible for this chip, which I think a lot of people are aware of. What is we have to rein in this United Nations. What is your position on this?
Well, we need to get the United Nations out of the United States of America. They don't belong here. These people are just evil, pure evil. And we cannot allow this to go forward. This year, in 2020, we have to have the people who stand for the right, who stand for the just. We need to unite, we need to fight, and we need to take back our country, and we need to save this world, because everything is at stake right now. Everything, your very life is at stake right now. And one of the things we need to do is we need to elevate our frequency. Some people might think this conversation is going to go into a really Twilight Zone kind of conversation, but I'm going to tell you something. Everything has frequency, everything, and we have frequency. And when our frequency gets lowered, then we are in danger of losing our very life and losing our health. So we need to do everything to elevate our frequency. And things like eating fresh food, like fruits and vegetables, will elevate your frequency. When you eat things that are dead, like the carcass of an animal, and I'm sorry if I offend meat eaters out there, but when you eat these things, it lowers your frequency. The clothes you wear, they can either elevate your frequency or lower your frequency. 100% linen will elevate it. 100% cotton will elevate it. If it's mixed, the scripture says don't mix fibers for a reason. It actually will damage your health. So if you're wearing fabrics that are not 100% cotton or linen or 100% wool, which right now it's summer because we're not going to be wearing wool, but it lowers your frequency. And so we need to do all these things that help to elevate our frequency, which is basically, when I say frequency, it's giving you more life force, more energy so that your body can withstand these attacks. And I've been talking the last few days with people all over the country, and they're telling me that they are feeling like they're under attack right now, especially when they wake up in the morning. They feel like they're not being rested during the night. And I think it's because our, normally under normal circumstances, every morning and every evening, we would have Jews in the synagogues, and they would be praying in their minions all over the world. So every hour of the day, round the clock, people were praying for the safety of our planet. But that has been stopped. They were arresting people for getting together and praying. And what do we know about where one or two are gathered together? You know, when 2 or 3 are gathered together, there's more power in numbers. And so one of the things we're actually doing here in Florida, we've been having these gatherings, and we're not wearing masks, we're not social distancing, we're hugging each other, we're giving each other hugs and kisses. Tomorrow, we have this guy down in Broward County. He has a YouTube channel. His name is Chris Nelson. Chris Nelson has organized a church service at 11 a.m. We're going to get together. You know, we had a walk that took place against the child sex trafficking to raise awareness. We had that on Thursday here in West Palm Beach. You know, we are making plans and carrying it out. One of the things I want to do here in West Palm, in my district, in the coming week, I want to get people together, a massive amount of people to get together and us protest these masks and this social distancing by having a party. That's what I want to do. I want to get so many people together. Like, I would love to get 1,000 people or more. They can't arrest us all. You know, we have to resist what they are trying to put upon us. We cannot allow them to take away our liberties and our freedoms. We have to fight. This is the time for you to stand up and be loud and proud.
We are the silent majority, and we are, as I reported in my POTUS report earlier, this is the silent second American Revolution, and we are on the brink of losing this country, and a lot of people don't even realize that there is a Marxist power grab attempt being made right now. People don't see it that way. They don't understand that the Democrat Party has been infiltrated. It is not the party of JFK anymore, which used to be honorable, and it is not honorable anymore. We were infiltrated, folks, and you have to understand that.
The Republican Party too, like, it's everywhere.
Right.
Let me tell you, I made a list. This was several months ago. I made this list. It's small print, but there's a lot of stuff here of all the things they have infiltrated in our daily life. I don't know if you'd like me to share this, but I mean, oh my God. And this is not even all inclusive, but they have literally created chaos by the altering of the DNA, by this GMO foods, by these chemicals in our water, in our air, in the clothing, in our furniture, all these different things. And they have perverted our legal system and our medical profession, the pharmaceutical company. Everything has been perverted and corrupted. And we have to root this out and reclaim our lives and create opportunities for people. This is my life's work. I have one thing in my bucket list, Louisa. Care to guess? 3 words. Change the world.
Oh boy.
Change the world.
Oh, I have a feeling you're going to do it. You know, people should never underestimate the power that one person has. Honestly, look what Julian Assange did, and this poor man is still. What? Let's hear what you have to say about that. What do you think should happen with Julian Assange? What would you support?
Well, I think he needs to be given a very nice place to live the rest of his days. He's done a great service for mankind, for the entire planet, by revealing this wicked corruption that has been going on for decades, even centuries. You know, he has uncovered so much truth. And I think that he should be well cared for. You know, they have neglected him. He was in the custody of the Ecuadorian government in the UK for a good many years now. And I have heard his health has suffered. This man deserves the best care we can possibly provide. And he should be rewarded for the sacrifice he has made. And we have other warriors that have done similar things. You know, they have set their own personal life aside to fight for humanity and help to restore our freedom and liberty. I don't think that we should neglect these individuals. He deserves our honor and respect.
Okay, well, that's good, and you know, it's a First Amendment issue. I mean, the freedom of the press, and the press is the only profession that is guaranteed in our, you know, protected by our Constitution, from what
But
I
they
understand.
don't have the freedom to lie to us, but this is what they've been doing.
Right, and what
They
would you
need
do?
to be.
What would you do? How would you hold the mainstream media, the Mockingbird media? We know that it's completely CIA controlled. What would you do to change this?
Well, they should be held accountable. You know, when they slander someone's reputation, they should be prosecuted for that, and they should have to pay.
Hmm.
And I mean big bucks. This will put a stop to it. You know, we bankrupt all these big mainstream media outlets by all these lawsuits when they lie about individuals and they attack them. Then we'll have people like yourself who rise up and take their place.
Well, there you go. We can't wait to get back to the White House. We've truly enjoyed that. So, okay, let's talk about some other issues too. So, Assange was definitely one of the that just kind of came up, but it is an issue, and the man is being you know, persecuted
Yes,
because
it
of
is.
this, because it's exposing the corruption and what we have. You know, people don't realize, they say, "Oh yeah, the government's corrupt," and I'm like, "No, you don't really know how corrupt it is. If you knew, you wouldn't be sleeping."
That's right. I don't sleep much. Well, some nights I get maybe 20 minutes of sleep, but I rarely ever get more than 2 hours.
Wow,
You know, there's just so
at a
much work
time.
to do.
Yeah.
I'm scrambling constantly day and night to try to
Right.
keep up with everything that needs to be addressed. And of course, I run 3 businesses, so you know
Yeah.
that I don't get bored. What do you
No,
think?
well, that's good. But you know, and the funny thing is what we have, what we found out is how many, you know, how many congressmen, congresswomen have been enriching themselves from kickbacks and paybacks, how they have sold out America and the American people to China and Ukraine and other countries, which is all going to be coming out. And we need to have, aside from that being treason, which is punishable by what, hanging? Is that true?
Well, I
Punishment?
mean, it could be it's
Death?
execution. It could be, you know, chop off their head. It could be a firing squad. It could be an injection, electric chair.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
sometimes they give the option,
Hmm.
you know, of what. But let me make an announcement right here.
Sure.
This is the first, people. I'm going to ask President Trump to allow me to decide how Bill Gates is executed.
Ooh, ooh. They're all gonna. Hey, and you know what? I think military tribunals. There's going to be, but from what I understand, that has been set up, and it's going to be a big issue. QAnon talks about it. What? I didn't ask you about that, did I? Did I ask you about QAnon in
I don't.
earlier in the week? Do you know who QAnon is?
Yes, I do.
And what do you think of that?
Well, I tell you, I have been following what's been going on with QAnon from the beginning. And I've been a researcher my whole life. I've been aware of the fraud and corruption since I was a young girl. I knew about the child sex trafficking. We did touch on that last time about the fact that did affect my life personally. And so when Q started posting these things, I knew them to be true. And so I knew that that was a voice posting these things that could be trusted. And so it's been a very powerful thing. And I've picked up a few pointers from Q. you educate people by asking the questions. And I actually got into a conversation with someone over the last 3 days, someone that's actually on call as the orthopedic surgeon in case President Trump needs some kind of orthopedic surgery. And this person is actually anti-Trump. He really wants to bring down our president. And we've had several conversations over the last several months about this subject. And this past week, we had something else that was discussed, and he has expressed some very negative attitudes towards me because I am an associate of the president and I support him and his agenda. And, people like that should not be given access to our president. What if the president was to break a leg and he needed surgery, and they bring this man in to perform this surgery, and he hates him. He hates his guts. Like, why the heck aren't they vetting these people that have access to our president who could do him harm, even kill him, like they did Joan Rivers, when she went in for a simple procedure? We have to monitor these things. We are surrounded by vultures and vipers.
Well, no,
I
that's
don't know
not
if
what
I answered your question, but
yeah, well, there's what is it? The Logan Act. No, it's not the Logan Act. What is the act? It's not the Brady Act. So this is what happened. So you can work in the White House and despise Trump, and you can, and unfortunately many do. That's unfortunate. And but you can't talk about it. You can't talk about politics there at all, because that what is the law? I can't even think of it. I probably should know this, right? But I can't think of it at the moment. That you can't you can't, like, in other words, you can't hold it against somebody if they're not your political affiliation, though you're working for the opposite party or whatever. What is that called, guys? Put it in the live chat. I know somebody knows. I can't think of it. I just can't think of the name. What is that called? It's not I thought it was. It's not Brady. It's not the Logan Act. But I think we should have transparency, and that's one of the things. You're very strong on this. I have to tell you, you have not hesitated with any questions, any issues I've brought up. You're very strong on this. You're very transparent. This is really one of your strengths, I find, that you're very transparent. And I know that's a big issue for you as well as it is for everybody, because we want to know. We have the right to know, who these people truly are. And I know that's
no masks.
Yeah.
You need to unmask these people and see the truth about them.
Right. So I can't think of the name of it. There's some act, and it's just escaping me right now. It's not I was thinking Brady Act.
Louisa, can you do me a favor
Brady
to
Act.
repeat the last question you asked me? Because I'm not sure I answered it. I kind of got off in a rabbit trail.
Right.
It was about QAnon.
Yeah, I think you answered it. It's not a problem. You did acknowledge that, you felt that this was accurate information. And, the purpose, though, I mean, what do you feel overall the purpose is of that? Did you want to share your opinion with us on that?
I just remembered my train of thought. The reason why I brought up this position is they were talking about all Republicans being bad, but then they started talking about the civil rights movement and how that was good. And I said, so you're saying that Martin Luther King was good? Mm-hmm. And he said, what a silly question. Of course he is. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, he's a Republican.
Well, look, there's a lot of secrets and skeletons in the closets of people in D.C. But anyway, yeah, there's definitely rhinos. I mean, we've had that. Of course, Mitt Romney is showing his true colors right now. We've had, John McCain, who has been a well-known rhino, and many others. You're absolutely right. And this is why it's a very dangerous time to be among the president. But the president, is a Sun Tzu master, and he keeps his friends close, but he keeps his enemies much closer. And he keeps an eye on them. And, what's sad is that I don't think people really understand that it's really the Democrat Party that's being, that's behind Antifa. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are making that connection. Sadly, there are many who are, yeah, but I think there's many who are not making that connection. But I mean, because we had to have Kelly McEnany show the actual, and in fact, during whose testimony was it? Was it Barr? It was Barr's testimony. Yes,
Boy,
it
that
was.
was an interesting conversation this past week.
Yeah, Jim Jordan again rocked the house, right? By showing, the clips of all the media saying peaceful protest, peaceful protest, peaceful protest. And they were just, parroting each other because it was the 4 a.m. talking points that was distributed nationwide across their owned.
There's nothing peaceful about them.
Yeah. And so he showed all the clips of all the destruction going on. And of course, Fox News, when Kayleigh McEnany did that in the press conference, and I was watching it live on Fox at the time, and they cut away. They were almost like in shock because they weren't expecting her to hold them accountable and show the facts on national television, which is why they put those LCD screens in the White House press briefing room, because they lie through their teeth. And yeah, they need to be held accountable. So this is what I'm saying. There definitely needs to be accountability with regard to the media. It's very destructive.
I wonder, why hasn't the president kicked out all the mainstream media and brought in more people like yourself? Why don't we have that room full of people that are actually willing to speak the truth to the people?
He will bring. Well, no, the people have to be willing to apply for the press, and not everybody qualifies. So, but we were the GoldFish Report.
Yeah, they may need to change that.
As far as I know, the GoldFish Report has been the first social media company to get the White House press privileges. I might be mistaken on that, but I didn't see anybody else there while I was there. I mean, not to say that there weren't other reporters who had website. They had news websites or news blogs, but I'm talking about a social media company where across multitude of platforms, we don't only do our own interviews, but we are continuously interviewing other people. We're continuously posting news from other news agencies. We, really are I think
very
a great source. Yeah, we're a good source for news, because it's done almost 24/7. So you are going to get all the up-to-date information. So we've past the top of the hour, so we're going to go a little bit longer. Ascension Radio said that we had the time, we could extend this a little bit longer. So let's just talk about some other issues. We have today talking about energy independence. The president was talking about energy, and there are a lot of patents that have been suppressed. We did talk about this earlier in the week. Technology, even healing technology, medical technology. The problem is when you have companies like Serco controlling, we have a foreign company, a British company controlling, for the most part, the patent office. We have at least 60 employees that I counted. I could be wrong, but I believe it was about 60 employees of Serco working at the U.S. Patent Office, pulling patents that would compete. Now, Dr. Judy Mikovits in the report I just did and shared, that they're suppressing all of the cures for COVID until everyone is infected. I mean, this is such a conflict of interest. We have absolutely no faith left in government, I have to say. How are people going to ever restore their faith in the government?
We have to get people in office who will actually stand up for we the people.
Good answer. Good answer.
Too many people running for office that are saying that they're one way, but they're really the opposite. Yeah. And we have to defeat this tyranny. And I have to share this. Okay, my T-shirt.
Oh yeah, with a nice little what is that? A little AK-47 in their hand.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna try to make another thing. I'm gonna put this on my wheelchair. I think I'm gonna put it on the wheels. I want flames on there. There used to be a song that played on the radio years ago called Flamethrower. I need to get me some flames.
Well, Okay, let's keep moving on with regard to this issue of not just the CERCO, but senior executive services, which is really the pool of professionals, really lifelong bureaucrats, government bureaucrats who get recycled, I would say, in this revolving door of working in government, then going into top executive corporate positions where they're controlling. Let's just use the pharmaceutical company as an example. We have people who are on the boards of or the heads of CDC and these other organizations, and or high up in those organizations, and leave to go be presidents or directors of private pharmaceutical companies, and then they go back. So this is the revolving door that everybody's talking about. And I just, so obviously they're doing this for profits. They're doing this to bolster profits and also to drive their own agendas. They're not representing the will of the people.
Yeah.
And, I always said, we the people, so we are the checks and balances, but people, there's so much apathy. It's hard
They
to
have to become impassioned. And, I'm hoping that when people hear me speak and they see how much I fight, I'm hoping they will be inspired and they will join me, come alongside me, stand with me, and us take back our country.
Yeah, we have to take back. You're really a very strong advocate and pioneer for the American way of life, and that's freedom and fairness for everybody. And the president is also very, very concerned about making sure that everybody has the right to express and practice their religion here. And so he's really he's a constitutionalist. And whether it was his brother, whether it's really his brother on Twitter or not, he says that his brother's a Christian, although many people think he's a Zionist, but because of his policies with Israel. And I asked you this earlier in the week because Cynthia McKinney, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, has publicly stated that when she was sworn in to be Congresswoman, she was also asked to take an oath to Israel, which is very, 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 very problematic. And actually, I think it's against our Constitution. So, what is your opinion on that? What is your position on taking an oath to another country?
I won't do it, and we shouldn't be expecting anyone to do it because a house divided will fall. If we want to preserve our country, preserve our Constitution, our freedom, our liberty, we must be loyal to the United States. I'm not saying neglect the whole world, but we have to know that we are America first. Because if we don't have a strong country within our borders, we can't help anyone else. When they're infiltrating us like they've been doing, they are destroying us from within. And we have to kick these bozos out, send them to Gitmo, the electric chair, whatever, but they need to go.
What about this revolving door policy? What is your opinion on that? Are you happy with that? And would you change it if you're not?
I think there should be a minimum of 10 years in between those jobs. A minimum of 10 years. They can't go from a corporate job to the government and from the government to the corporate. No, they need to have at least 10 years in between, because what they're doing right now with the FDA and like Monsanto, which is now Bayer, these kinds of things, it has led to our literally the demise of millions of people in this country and around the world, because these policies that they put into place are not to protect us or our rights.
Well, let me ask you something about how politics actually gets done in Washington. How do you see yourself working with the other side to try to get some legislation passed?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about it much, but maybe I'll just bulldoze right over them. I don't know.
Well, you know what? When you have like, they're going to do that with their filibusters in the House anyway. And you are running for the House of Representatives. So, but you and Jim Jordan can be a very, very powerful team.
Yeah, we have to get a majority in Congress in November. We must. Of people that are real patriots. I'm the real deal. There's a lot of pretenders out there, but I am a true patriot. I'm a voice for the voiceless. I will defeat tyranny. I'm not there to play games.
Yeah.
I'm not there to get rich. I have more than I ever need. And I'm not interested in lobbyists or any of that. We need to eliminate that, by the way. We need to have the citizens come and talk to their representatives, not corporations. We're not there to make a smooth path for these corporations to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
We are here for the people, and that's how the ship needs to be run.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting. That's a very good point, because at one point in time, I actually worked with the Office of Legislative Services in the state that I live in, and to work on a bill requiring health insurance companies to create a uniform standard of coverage for some of these facial prosthetics that I was making. That's what I used to do. And because it was not applied equally. They would have the argument, oh, it's cosmetic and all of this, but is it really? I mean, if somebody, I used to deal with very catastrophic cases and things of that nature, and I spearheaded a lot in that area. And so I worked with the Office of Legislative Services to help them write the bill, and we got it passed through the whole Senate. And when it went into the Assembly, the people who were on those Health and Human Services committees, they're the gatekeepers to the insurance industry, and they killed the bill and wouldn't post it. They refused to post the bill for a vote. And I had a really great sponsor for the bill, and we had no problem getting this passed through the Senate. And the problem was special interest won. So yeah, and it was very disappointing because I worked very hard on that, and I was doing it as an advocate for the people that I was helping, because there was so few people, who could help them write that bill and help them get be an advocate for that type of coverage.
We really need to clean house.
Yeah.
Clean the house.
Yeah, I cleaned the house.
Clean it out. All this wickedness that's there.
Yeah.
And we need a huge turnover. When I hear the numbers of how long these people have been in office, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And look at the condition of our society here in the United States. Like,
right.
What the hell is wrong with the voters? Yeah. Why haven't they got somebody else in there? Some people need to step up to the plate in these districts, because we need to get rid of these people that have been holding us back and really creating an environment in our society that has taken away opportunities, has stolen our wealth, and taken away our health.
I think we need to also kind of reach out to the voter, because the voters are the one putting them back in office. I mean, we know them by their fruit, right? So let's look at Nancy Pelosi's district and what a disgrace it is. How many years, how many decades in office has she been in? And that's the most she has to show for it. So I think that the people need to start seeing that for themselves and just vote them out, and realize that the career politicians, are hijacking the system from everybody and from we the people. Would you be in favor of better, broader constituent education?
We definitely need to get civics back in the schools. People
True.
need to understand that each person has responsibility, instead of ignoring the problems and expecting someone else to fix it. Like, you have an election because you want someone to go to Congress, to go to the Senate, to represent your needs. But if you aren't letting your needs and your wishes be known, how can they speak for you? And we need to hold them accountable. If they aren't listening to the constituents, if they aren't looking out for our best interests, we need to start recalling these people. Don't wait until the next election. This is one thing I have a real problem with, is Republicans, they tend to just sit back, and Democrats too, and they don't stand up and fight. They say, oh, we'll get it in the next election. And they just sit back and put up with the bullshit. No, we have to start recalling these people. We can't continue to let them get by with this for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. No,
but there is a process. There is a process, but people have to be informed. Slim, I know you're up on this in our live chat. It's a recall, you just said, and there is a process to recall. an elected official. And let's also remember, folks, these people take an oath of office.
That's right.
They are held
all the time.
They violate their oath of office. They should be disqualified. Well, prosecuted if they committed crimes. They could be could be an ethics
ineligible to run again.
Yeah, could be an ethics issue. Not always necessarily a crime, but there is, Slim, I know you know what this is called. You can, well, impeachment is one of them, but no, there's a recall process that you do on the county level. You started on the county level, and I don't know I think it's called a recall. It's just called a recall, I think.
Yeah, you vote to remove them from office and replace them with someone else. You know, this is what we need to start doing more of. They're talking about this with Gavin Newsom out in California. They want to have a recall, and they should. And we need to do that in more locations. Like, we need to stop being so laid back about these issues. When people violate their oath of office, when we catch them with ethics violations, they should be disqualified from ever serving the public again. We should make it a law. Maybe
okay. Here we have something called recalls.gov, and let's take a look at what this has to say. Oh, this is very...
I think I just found my fourth bill I'm going to put forth.
Consumer product. No, this is a different recall. This is not the one I'm talking about. Oh, this is the list of products that are recalled. No, it's a process. Yeah, it's a process where you recall. There's another name for this, and it's it's not remonstrate. Yeah, no, there's an actual process. There's the people have to do it. That's the difference. The people have to do it. No, there's a technical term. I think it's called a recall. And I know people who did it. I just wish they were watching so they could tell me what the technical term is. But we can come back and talk about this again. But there's only so much legislators can do. The people, as you said, the people have to realize they play a role in this republic that we live in, and we need to be the ones. We are the checks and balances. Right. I've been saying this every day. And there's things that you can do, but there's things that the people need to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's move along to some other topics. So we know that we talked about the vaccinations. We talked about the pharma, the revolving door of big pharma. The president last week had passed 4 executive orders regarding lowering drug prices, especially for drugs that are life-saving drugs like insulin and epinephrine for EpiPens. What would you like to see change regarding access to prescription medications?
Well, I might be the wrong person to ask that of, because I'm like so anti-pharmaceutical, because I would like to see them be more open-minded about using things like essential oils and herbal remedies and things like that. But when there are a few rare occasions, and I do mean rare, where a medication might be indicated, but like in an emergency, because natural things typically take a little bit longer to be effective, but we should discourage the use of these drugs because they cause a lot of harm. But if you have a pre-existing condition and you choose pharmaceuticals, that should be provided to you. We need to protect people with pre-existing conditions. I know of many cases throughout my life where individuals have been trapped in a job because of insurance. And they know if they change jobs and they change insurance, they won't be covered.
Right, exactly.
Diabetic, maybe they have seizures, and so it really keeps them trapped where they can't pursue their dreams and pursue other options for their future. And it shouldn't be that way.
Well, I know that you're a wellness professional, and I know that you have a different approach to health from a wellness perspective, but but you do recognize that there are some conditions like diabetes that absolutely need to have this insulin until there's a cure for this. Let me just show you what I was talking about. I did find it. This is called, I thought there was another term for it, a political recall. A recall vote is the process by which citizens, that means we the people, can remove elected officials from office before their term is completed. The process typically includes the circulation of petitions by recall organizers, the evaluation of signatures by election officials, and a public vote if the petitions are deemed to have sufficient valid signatures. This is a very specific process. I don't know why the state of California is not doing it. Why the people in San Francisco aren't doing this? What do they love having human feces on the street? When, oh, it's so disgusting. You see, there was a video I screen shared of some guy squatting on top of a garbage can in an airport while people were coming off the plane. It's like, welcome to America. How shameful.
Wow.
Right?
I think people just aren't
Disgusting.
informed. We need to educate our public. And I think that, we have this public broadcasting system, and they've been putting on all this stuff with transgenders and
Yes.
promoting the gay and lesbian agenda in front of our children. Why aren't we teaching our children about civics? The fact that we can recall our political politicians that are in office if need be. Why aren't we teaching them basic things like that?
Right.
You're never too young to start educating our future electorate in what their rights are and responsibilities. We need to take our responsibilities and our duty seriously, and not fall down on the job. We are all guilty of doing that, myself included. I have seen things going on, and I have spoken about them, but years ago I didn't understand all these processes either, and I did take civics class in high school.
Right.
But they were not educating to the full extent that they should have been, and we need to change that.
Okay, let's talk about this. The president has actually relied on some pretty strong executive powers with regard to dealing with like the Defense Authorization Act and the things it allows the president to do. Congress also has the ability to have excuse me, at their disposal certain remedies and things like, how we saw this. Isn't it amazing how fast this impeachment word, it just completely disappeared, like vanished into thin air? But these are specific processes that, the House has the ability to do. Let's take a look at some of these other issues that you have here. And the House of Representatives is empowered to create laws and control the purse. So it acts to balance out the other two branches of government, the judicial and the executive. So how would you, in terms of controlling the purse, is there anything in particular that you would like to address about that?
Well, there's a lot of things actually, but right now, what most people don't realize, because we are under a state of emergency, the executive branch is the only one that's operational. The legislative branch has not been active. Here in the state of Florida, they don't intend to reconvene until after January. So our governor, Ron DeSantis, has total control and no checks and balances there. I've been calling him out about Executive Order 2080 for the last 2 months. And I'm not going to shut up about it until he contacts me and he rescinds that order. We have a lot of things that need to be addressed. And we can't, as citizens, we can't fall asleep on the job. We have to hold them accountable. And Governor DeSantis, he runs the risk of not being reelected if he doesn't start listening to the people. We are protesting these mask mandates. We are protesting about these mandatory vaccine laws that are on the books. And he needs to start addressing these issues, because that's what we, the people, are concerned about. We don't want this vaccine that Bill Gates has planned for us and Dr. Fauci. That they are not going to control us. And we have citizens that are armed with their Second Amendment rights, and we will protect ourselves from bodily harm. And that's what they intend to put upon us, is something that's harming our future. And we're not going to stand for it.
What do you perceive to be the United States' greatest challenge as a nation over the next decade?
Ridding ourselves of the fraud and corruption and restoring opportunities to the people. And it's such a broad, all-encompassing problem that we face.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been insidious. It's like it's throwing a frog in a pot of boiling water, or putting in a pot of cool water and slowly increasing the temperature.
Right.
That's what they did to us. Slowly increase that temperature. And we are in a pot of boiling water, and we've got to jump out because our goose is getting cooked. We have to jump out in 2020.
We sure are getting cooked. That's no understatement there. So we are seeing this every day. We're looking at the child trafficking, the Epstein case, the Ghislaine Maxwell files, court documents that are being unsealed regarding her interrogations years ago. There's a lot, I think, that's going to be coming out that's going to be very shocking to a lot of people. We're going to be a country in need of healing after all of this is exposed. This is going to be extremely important. Did you want to comment on that?
Yes, we not only need to heal our bodies because we've been under assault for so many years, our entire lives, you and I, and the older citizens in our country that are in their 80s and 90s or 100, they had an opportunity to get a really strong start in life, but we have been faced with these GMO foods for decades now, and all these chemicals after World War II. We not only need to heal our bodies, we need to heal our souls, our minds, and we need to eliminate the subliminal programming that's been taking place through the media, television, radio, social media. And this is the real reason behind why I am issuing this 3-day call to prayer. This will be the third one that I have called, and it's going to take place August the 14th through the 17th, beginning in the evening on that Friday through the evening of that Monday. And our focus is we need to repent, just like in the days of Nineveh, the story of Jonah and the whale. God told him to go and warn Nineveh that they were due for destruction. And he tried to run from that job that God had given him, that mission. And he was swallowed by a fish and a great whale. And when he went to Nineveh and he warned the people, the king called for them to have 3 days of prayer and fasting. The people repented and they were saved. I think we are at that point in the United States right now and on this planet. And we need to come together as a people. We need to repent of the evil that our government has done to our people here at home and abroad. We hold responsibility in that. Right. You have tried to lead an upstanding life, as I have, but yet these things have taken place and we have guilty hands, and we need to repent, and we need to seek forgiveness and ask for restoration and ask for God to heal our land, to heal us personally. And so healing is a huge thing that we need to take care of. And it's something that we need to humble ourselves and ask for his help, because we cannot win this battle. This is a spiritual war that's going on right now. This is a war of principalities, darkness and light. And we need to come forth from the dark into the light. Yeah. And we need to spread that light. Let our light shine like that candle on a hill. We can't cover it with a bushel. No, we need to let it shine.
Well, I think your biblical reference is quite appropriate. I think there's many, religious leaders out there who are talking about this being end times, and we are really being tested. You're really, everyone's true colors are really showing, and we really need to be holding up that mirror and taking a good look at ourselves and doing just that, because we all are in this together. We are all in this together. Where we go one, we go all. It's
Absolutely.
very, very true. And right now we're at the crossroads of, we are fighting for humanity's right to for survival here. And whoever's going to wake up is going to wake up. Who's not is not going to. I've been working at this for 5 years now. We are almost to the day when I started my first GoldFish Report, which was on August 19th, 2015. I was doing blogs before that, but this is, in terms of doing my own reports, we're going to be at 555 within the next week or two. And the 555 does signify the change of times, the change of the power change that's supposed to be going on the planet right now. The controllers of the world, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers are not in control anymore.
No.
Their minions are. But the question is, so people referred to them as the cabal. The question is, are we getting cabal 2.0? And we really hope that we're getting better leaders and better leadership, because the 555 change is supposed to be about more power to the people and bringing the power back to the people, which is what President Trump said in his campaign speech, and also about in his inauguration speech, is about bringing the power back to the people. So would you say that that's along your agenda?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am a servant to the people. I always have been my whole life. I love serving my fellow man. And we are one race, the human race.
Right.
I don't discriminate against anyone, and neither does our president. They keep speaking this lie about him, that he is that he speaks out against people that are in wheelchairs, that he's mean to people that are disabled, that he is a racist. He's none of those things. He is the most kind and generous man that I have ever known.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why we have people, so-called people on this planet, that continue to spout out these lies. Well, we know who the father of lies is.
Yeah.
We know who that is.
Well, it's very true. I mean, but let's just take a look for a minute, because this is from Dan Scavino. Dan Scavino posted this, and I just wanted to share this in terms of showing, there's so much propaganda, and that's really what it is. It's propaganda. I was just sickened. Every channel you turn on is just telling trying to convince people that he's racist, that he's responsible for the riots and all this. It's just, it's sickening. It's just sickening. But why we can talk. I'm going to put this on mute, but we could talk while this is showing, because this is down in Florida, and of course this is long blocks of people in support of the president. That even though he hasn't been able to do his rallies, that people have been coming out in other ways, like this, along his route, his motorcade route, and of course boaters have been doing this down in your county as well, I believe, right in Palm Beach. Yeah, were you aware of that going on at that time?
Of this right here?
It was about a week or two ago. You had, and look how long this line goes for. It's like a mile long or longer. Look at this. They love him in Florida.
Yeah, he was in Tampa last night.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be in Miami today. I don't know if he made it or not, because we've had that hurricane, that's been hitting Miami this afternoon. So he may have had to delay that. But we love our president. And we have people here in Florida that don't like him at all, but we have a very strong group of people. We get out every single Friday at Trump Corner, and we have a big flag waving, and people are really getting excited. It's a major intersection that we go to on PGA and Military, and we're doing them now 3 days a week, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday here in Palm Beach County. And I do my own sign waving every single day. I am out there, because this is just what I do. I've been doing this way before I decided to run for this office, I have flags. I don't know if you can see them here.
We can see them, absolutely.
Flags on my wheelchair, and I go out every day on my street here in Palm Beach, and sometimes people stop. Today I had a beautiful experience. Actually, two people stopped on the side of the road when they saw me, and they wanted to come and talk to me and give me a hug because they appreciated so much seeing me out there spreading cheer, you know.
Right.
I go out and I smile and I wave. And the reason I do this, number one, I'm out there getting exercise, sunshine, and fresh air.
Right.
But I smile and I wave at every single person that passes me, whether walking on a bicycle or in a car, because I may be the only friendly face they encounter all day long.
True.
And I want to spread positivity. You know, we have a lot of negative things that are going on all around us, but we cannot get mired down in that. We have to stand up for what's right and good and best for our people. And we must speak out. And that's what I try to do every single day. And just spread the love, spread the cheer.
Well, in our final, moments here, do you have any closing comments, or is there anything I haven't asked you? Because also we didn't discuss everything tonight that we talked about in our report earlier in the week. So folks can always go back to that report, which was earlier this week on the GoldFish Report YouTube channel. And you could look at more of the issues that we talked about there as well. Many we did discuss tonight, but is there anything that we haven't discussed that you'd like to talk about or to comment on in closing?
Well, there is one thing that we haven't touched on at all yet, and that has to do with, we've had a lot of people because of this COVID situation. Businesses have been shut down, and many of them will never reopen. And so people, their families are hurting, and we need more jobs. One of the things that we need to focus on is building infrastructure. And there was a program that was started after the war. It's been about 100 years ago. The CCC began, and I don't know if many in your audience even know what that is, but we have the CCC to thank for our beautiful national parks. They built these things in our state parks. Many of these were developed by our Civilian Conservation Corps. Civilian Conservation Corps. It was created and active during 1933 through 1942. So those 10 years, we had young men between the ages of 17 and 28. They were provided shelter, food, and clothing, and given a $30 stipend. This was nearly 100 years ago, so $30 was quite nice when they're being provided everything else. It's about like $600 a month. And they learned skills. They learned the building trades. They learned how to do landscaping. They developed our beautiful local and national parks and built our public buildings and bridges and roads. They did so many things. And they actually provided infrastructure that has blessed us for generations now. And I think this is a program that we really should bring back because we have a lot of young people. They need to develop discipline in their life. We have all these people, that are involved with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And yesterday, when we left Trump Corner, I was actually attacked by 3 people that were Black Lives Matter, all of them white. And we had actually many Blacks that were helping us with our flag waving in support of President Trump and his reelection. And they were just being vile and vicious to us.
Right.
And it's really sad. But these people that have been indoctrinated in our schools through Agenda 21 and various things, our Common Core curriculum that was here until Governor DeSantis got rid of it 2 years ago. But, you know, on the front line of these riots, of these protests, are mostly school teachers. This is what's been reported. These people who were arrested were school teachers. So we really need to clean out our schools of these kinds of people. We need to educate our young people starting when they are toddlers. We need to reach these people. One of the programs that I don't even think I have it on my platform listed out, but it's one of the things that I intend to do. It's a program that is being done in some other countries, and that is to put preschools in combination with senior living facilities so that the people of the older generations can interact with these young children and help them learn how to respect their elders, how to care for their elders, and develop that true human interaction with the generations. It's so important. With my own children, when they were toddlers, I would take them at least once a month, oftentimes 2 or 3 times a month, to our local nursing home. And I had my children still in diapers. We started this to plan activities to do to benefit these people. Our elders, they're lonely in these places, and they love having children come to visit. And we would sing songs and do crafts, play games. We need to encourage multi-generation activities and real human interaction, not just using a cell phone or a computer screen. We need hugs. We need people baking together in the kitchen. We need to get back to our solid roots and have a more family atmosphere in our homes. So I think that's what I would like to stress right here at the closing of our conversation, and just remind people that you know, if they want to contact me and ask me any question at all, they can contact me through my website, Reba at rebaforcongress.com. If you want me to give you a call, send me your phone number. I'd be happy to call you. And it doesn't matter if you're in my district or not. I care about people. I care about this country, and we must save our nation.
Well, I think that's a great way to close this up, because we must save it. There's no question that it's in jeopardy right now. And if people don't really see that, then, you know, we have a long way to go with this. But you're absolutely right. I think, you know, you've done such an incredible job answering these questions, but I'm going to say that the reason why I feel that you stand out from the other Republican candidates, even the Democrat candidates down there, the reason why I think you should be elected basically is what I'm saying. And I've never gone out and done this with any candidate before, ever. And the only other person I would do this for would be the president, which is basically what I do every week doing POTUS reports. But first of all, not only are you beautiful, but you are intelligent, and you are extremely, you know, you possess a wisdom and intelligence that has given you a unique vantage point. And in doing so, it's you know, it's you hear it in your conviction. You hear it. You've never hesitated on any issue that we've asked. I brought up a lot of issues that I think a lot of politicians would dodge. They wouldn't answer them, quite frankly. And you've done an incredible job, and you really do show that you have the time, the energy, and the fortitude to do the job. And that's why I think that people should vote for you. And that's just my opinion. And I don't hand that out. If I thought you were a weak candidate, I wouldn't even make the comments. I would just, you know, close the program and that would be it. But I do feel that you're exactly what we need. You're exactly what we need, because we need people who aren't going to be compromised. Like President Trump, they can't be sold. Their morals cannot be compromised. And you definitely communicate that as you speak. So I do feel that that you have a tremendous advantage over your competitors, even on both sides of the party. So I really do hope that you get elected, because I would really love to see you represent us in Congress. And I just have to tell you what a pleasure it's been for me to interview you. And also, I'm looking at all of the comments from our live chat viewers, and they're making comments to things that we're talking about. And they're in agreement. They agree that these are issues that matter to them. And they may not be in Palm Beach County, but if they're in America, you will be representing them as well on the committees. So I just would like to encourage anybody who feels that they would like to, if you're in District 21 and you want to volunteer and help out for the campaign, we're getting down to the the grind here. Right.
For the primary. And if somebody lives elsewhere in the United States and you want to come down to Palm Beach and have a little vacation and do a little work on the side, helping with my campaign, give me a call.
Yeah. If you're a nice person. Okay. So you only want nice people, good people. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. And contact her at Reba, rebaforcongress.com your email is reba@rebaforcongress.com. So it's been a pleasure again, my dear. I'm telling you, every time we do an interview, I just feel like, I just want to vote for you, but I'm not even in your state. But I'm doing the best I can. So I hope our viewers have enjoyed this. And it's important that we do hear what the candidates have to say, especially when social media is banning all of, and not even inviting and incorporating all of the candidates in on these debates and things like that. And I extend the invitation to the other candidates. May have something different to say, but if you want to have an opportunity to represent your maybe to show why you think you might be elected, you can contact the GoldFish Report at gmail.com. But I do want to stress that I think you're going to be up against a very tough competitor. So thank you so much for joining us on the GoldFish Report and on Ascension Radio. And I want to thank all the viewers on Ascension Radio for listening, and everybody who's been watching along on our chat tonight and also in our live chat. And I also want to ask you, give us a thumbs up, folks. If you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up. It helps the report get recommended in people's news feeds. And of course, you can't really pay attention to the numbers too much because you know that they're not even real. We are shadow banned. Of course, the GoldFish Report has been under heavy censorship, but we also have a lot of other networks and sources that help us get the word out too. So, spread it far and wide and share this video far and wide, folks, and vote Reba for Congress in District 21 in Florida on, August 18th, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, Reba. I hope you'll come back again.
I'd be delighted to.
Wonderful. Well, thank you to everybody watching, and thanks to those viewers and people who are listening. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. Okay. And I'm going to thank everybody in the live stream and let you all know we're going to sign out now. So we will be back tomorrow with a very special report tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I think it's tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Drake Bailey and Gail of Gaia. And we're going to talk about some really far out topics, but most of all, the problem that we have in America right now and how we all need to step up to the plate and ask, what can we do for our country? So we'll be doing that tomorrow at 2 p.m. live stream, folks. So make sure you're around a computer or your phone and tune in for that one. So everybody, you have a great night. Thank you so much. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. Oh, I've got to